bicycle touring people from everywhere in this amazing world. It's Bicycle Touring Talk 139, brought to you from a studio in Edmonton, Alberta. My name is George Schlackett, and I didn't really have to disclose that, as my background could easily have you believe that I was in Colombia right now. Well, in case I fooled you, it's fake. But the tour I'm telling you about is anything but. Barbara and I had cycled over 1,000 kilometers across Colombia over 3 weeks, and finally we had arrived in Santa Marta, on the ocean. In the last episode, I told you about how we arrived there after yet another day of mostly cycling on highway shoulders, some of which were really not suited for that. But we went from literally living on the highway to spending the rest of the day in a Caribbean paradise. It was like the reward we had started to doubt would ever come. On February 2nd, we woke up and started the day a bit later than we had got accustomed to, with a nice breakfast at the Rodadero Mall. Okay, let's back up a bit here. There was something else before that. We actually started at our hotel, Hospedaje Palm Bay, a really nice place, but there was a problem creeping up on us there. When I took a shower that morning, I noticed that the water was draining only very slowly. It didn't really seem like a big deal until one of us used the toilet. You probably guessed it by now. As soon as we flushed it, it became apparent that a main drain was blocked somewhere. But besides the toilet overflowing and making a mess on the bathroom floor, part of its content also reappeared in the shower stall. Not very pretty, I tell you. We told our host about it and were reassured that all would be taken care of. That's when we went to the mall. After our return, we were asked to switch rooms, which we did. A plumber was on the way, we were told. We then took our bikes toward El Prado, another part of Santa Marta that was not very far, to check out a campground we had found on Google Maps. We had to find another place to stay for the next day. A campground within close proximity to the beach was going to be our first choice. But we were a bit disappointed with the one we found. Well, the place itself seemed okay and the beach was really close. We actually went there and enjoyed it for a bit. But why was no one else camping at that campground? Why was the one guy who was present and claimed to be guarding the premises really well drinking beer on the job? Oh, it wasn't just one beer. It seemed like he had been drinking for the better part of the day. Not our problem, we figured. Nor was it supposed to become our problem. We would just have to find another place the following day. We later returned to our hotel in Rodadero and spent some more time at the beautiful beach there. Later that evening, we went to the mall for an amazing pizza and some real Juan Valdez coffee after that. We had internet at the hotel, so we searched the area for more campgrounds. It turned out that there were several in a place at the other side of town. That place was Taganga. Taganga was also full of smaller hotels and hostels. When we read up on it, it was described as a fishing village, but with a booming tourism sector that was catering mostly to budget travelers and backpackers. That sounded perfect to us. Taganga it was. The ride was only going to be about 20 kilometers, but we decided to get started early the next morning, February 3rd. We left our hotel this morning and we thought we had to go riding our bikes without having a coffee first. But then we got to the mall here and a lady walking around with a thermos, coffee for, how much was it? 2 coffees for 1,000 pesos, which is Don't even
Think
know.
so?
If that, yeah. And
But yeah, pink cup.
yeah, pink cups too.
Tell that the answer to my morning coffee prayer.
Cheers. We stopped at the mall for coffee and then headed back to the highway. I had studied the map for the best route to get us there, and it was through town. After a big traffic circle, we entered the city of Santa Marta. Traffic was busy. But we also found a great place along the way to have breakfast. Regardless of my directions, after a while, it felt like we were completely lost. There was definitely a lack of signs that could guide us. Even the street signs were not consistent. Eventually, we ended up at a pedestrian bridge, crossing another highway. This had to be the way because it was basically the only one bringing us further east, except if we wanted to go back all the way to the main highway we had come from. We crossed that bridge. Ended up on a curvy road and went up some very steep hills and through some very poor looking neighborhoods. Were those the slums on the hillside? There were people around, kids and adults, but no one seemed very interested in us. After some serious climbing and helping Barbara with her ascent here and there, we had a pretty amazing view of the city. Then it went around a few more curves and finally we were descending again. There were some stunning views of a beautiful bay. This was the Bay of Taganga. It looked like straight out of a postcard. Could there be a more perfect location anywhere? After arriving in the village, we figured that it should be simple to find the campground. But we were wrong. People noticed that we were lost, and that made us a target for several self-proclaimed tourist guides. No, there weren't any campgrounds here, but they could hook us up with a great hostel. At first, we followed along, but it soon became apparent that the hostel wasn't much better than the campground we had seen the day before. It definitely didn't look like anyone was actually staying there. But again, the place itself wasn't that bad looking. But something seemed off, and so we politely declined the offer. Now the guy who had showed us around wasn't so friendly anymore. We kept asking around the village, and again we're told that there wasn't any campground in the village itself, but just outside of it, near a soccer field. A guy by the name Mr. Wilson had a place for some tents. Where was this soccer field? Was this gonna be another beer-drinking bum renting out a spot in the dust with no other services around for a mile? Taganga had all the makings of the perfect Caribbean paradise, but finding a place to camp seemed complicated or impossible. Did we just have to cough up more money and check into one of the hostels or budget hotels? By Canadian standards, none of them were expensive, but after hauling the tent for over 1,000 kilometers, I really wanted to get some use out of it. We were envisioning staying in Taganga for several days, but where? I'll tell you all about it in the next episode. Until then, I'll have several other videos. I appreciate your support, including the gentle treatment of the like button and subscribing to my channel. Thank you, and I'll see you very soon.